All rise.
This is Deeper Than Money. Talk to me.
I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
If he is not going to honor you, he needs to be gone.
Compassionate.
I don't want you to give up on your dreams. I don't. And I want to figure out how we get this straight.
She's powerful.
If I were in this situation, I would have put you out too.
And she's on the bench.
I feel like I'm being judged here.
That's what I do.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Douglas Frame is suing Rebecca Stover in the amount of $800. Mr. Frame claims he planned a birthday fishing trip with his son and says his ex-wife manipulated their child into choosing a go-kart outing instead.
Hi, I understand that you all have a son together.
That is correct.
And that you have this custody arrangement, but he primarily lives with his mother, is that correct?
That is correct.
And
Your
how
Honor.
old is your son?
He is now 11 years old.
All right, and you are now suing your ex-wife for $800.
That is correct.
All right, again, your son's name is?
His name is Eric, Your Honor.
Eric, okay. And so tell me why you're in here suing.
So prior to my son's 11th birthday, I had planned a fishing excursion for my son and 3 of his friends. We were going to take a boat out onto the ocean and catch some fish together. And afterwards, we would take the fish and have them cleaned by the crew and bring them home to prepare them.
And something went wrong, otherwise you wouldn't be in my courtroom suing.
Yes, Your Honor. So ironically enough, 2 days prior, after being very excited about the time leading up to the trip, my son disclosed to me that he no longer wished to go on this trip, which seemed to be a sentiment that is strongly held by my ex-wife.
All right, Rebecca, talk to me. What's happening?
What my ex-husband failed to mention is that there was going to be murder involved.
Help me understand.
You are taking a fish away from its family, pulling it from the ocean, and just beating it to a pulp.
So what is your philosophical position? Is any animal fishing?
I identify as a vegan, and I am
Vegan?
part of many animal rights activist groups on social media and in person, and I volunteer every week.
You have raised your son to be a vegan?
I do my best to make compromises with my husband.
And so there's not a problem with your son eating fish, poultry, meats when he's with his father?
I am okay with that. What
Okay.
I am not okay with is the act of pulling the fish from the ocean and gutting it. That is cruel and inhumane, and I feel like as a husband and wife, we need to work together to co-parent this child into having good moral set values.
Have you all had this conversation? I mean, have you and Douglas sat down to have this specific conversation before the fishing trip was planned?
I have an email and I have some voicemails, but at this time I do have an email if you would like to read.
The email says what?
The email says that there will be a boating trip only and that he will be with his friends and it will be safely chaperoned.
But no fishing?
No mention of murder, ma'am.
Just out on the boat?
Just out on the boat.
All right, so Douglas, did you have this conversation with her?
I did have a conversation with my ex-wife prior to planning the trip. I did, however, omit
The fishing.
the fishing.
And we have Eric, bless his heart, who's caught in the middle of all of this.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so tell me more about what happened then.
So apparently, several days, I think approximately 3 days prior to the trip, a friend of one of the children, their mother had reached out to Rebecca asking what special clothing they would need for this fishing trip. And then that's when it became apparent to her that I had omitted the fact that we would be participating in fishing on the trip and not just a boating incident. I mean, not just a boating excursion, excuse me. And after that, it seems that my ex-wife decided to manipulate her son into changing the birthday celebration to a go-karting outing with her, and also manipulating him in that same wavelength to now say fishing is murder. I don't want to be responsible for hurting these animals. Whereas, you know, up until those final 2 days, he was very excited about taking this trip with his friends and with myself.
I guided him, Your Honor. I did not manipulate, I simply guided. I showed him some pictures and some videos a few days before the trip of what he would be doing to those poor creatures. He had came to the conclusion on his own and decided that he feels that go-karting in an eco-friendly go-kart would have been a safer and more feasible outing.
What kind of videos did you show him of the fish being gutted?
Yeah, soups to nuts, the fishing, the gutting, the cutting of the head, the grilling on the stove and everything.
The response was then that you planned a different birthday party for him, yes?
That is true.
And that you went go-karting.
Yes, eco-friendly
And that
go-karting.
he told his father that he didn't want to go fishing.
Yes, he did.
And so now you're suing, as I understand from the complaint, you're suing for the money that you spent on the fishing trip.
Correct.
Let me
And
see the receipts.
I was going to say, I have a receipt here that shows that the trip was non-refundable.
You all couldn't work this out before you all got to court? Clearly, you couldn't work it out.
He didn't
Your
want to
Honor.
work it out. He just wanted to lie and manipulate and to coach our son into being a lying and manipulative person.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
I don't know where we draw the line when it's my custodial time that I'm not able to raise my son how I see fit.
And later,
I go into the UI of the car to tap it. As soon as I tap that button, bam! The wheel jerks like out of my hand, and before I can even react, I'm in the wall.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Douglas Frame, who is suing Rebecca Stover for reimbursement.
How did he manipulate and coach your son into being a liar?
Because my son did not mention anything about fishing, and there is nothing in this email.
I try to be as reasonable as I can with my ex-wife. Her demands, as we've discussed, are sometimes a little bit unreasonable. We have Meatless Monday in my home to respect, her wishes on that end, and I also refer to our family dog as a companion. I don't know where we draw the line when it's my custodial time that I'm not able to raise my son.
Well, that's a very good point, because you all are co-parenting, yes?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
there's got to be some meeting of the minds here. I mean, there really has to be some meeting of the minds, because all of this really centers back to Eric. There's this precious little boy who's caught in the middle of this, who I would think was probably pretty excited about going fishing with his friends. I will spare you the story the first time I went fishing. No, I won't. I'll tell you the story. I went fishing. Yeah, I went fishing. I did. I went fishing. And I was cool up until the time that I had to put the worm on the hook. That's where the whole thing just fell apart. And I respect the fact that you are a vegan and that you have decided that you're going to adopt a certain lifestyle. I am not a vegan, but I am a vegetarian. I am. And so my brother says it's really gross because I explain it that I don't eat anything with a face. And he said, Glenda, why can't you come up with a better way to say that? But people understand it. Because if I say I'm a vegetarian, well, don't you eat poultry and don't you eat fish? No, I don't. I'm a vegetarian. But that is something that I have not and did not impose on my children. And I really think that the rule, frankly, should be that when he is at your house, the rules apply. And that when he's at his dad's house, the rules ought to apply there. I mean, I just think that's the only way that this can work. Otherwise, it's going to always be a child caught in the middle. And we don't want Eric to then have to feel like he has to keep secrets from you, or that he can't talk to his dad about certain things. Because I am telling you, I have been a judge for a very long time, and that is a prescription for disaster. Because then it's like, well, I can't tell dad this, or I've got to go tell dad that I can't go fishing, but yet I want to go to the golf carts with my friends. It's not a healthy situation. As long as he's safe and healthy, that the rules ought to apply in your house. And then when it's your time and he's safe and healthy, the rules ought to apply in your house. And that we ought not have this child caught in the middle and conflicted. Now, am I going to give you the whole $800 for this fishing trip disaster cancellation. And let me tell you why. Not because you knew that she was gonna pitch a fit when you planned the fishing trip.
100%.
Right? And so until there is the kind of agreement that I'm insisting on today in my courtroom, then from now on, you ought to be able to take them on the fishing trip, right? And so I think that because you told her boating and not fishing, and then we get a child caught in the middle, you lost a couple of ways. You lost out on the fishing trip, and you lost out on celebrating your child's birthday with him. Because now you get to do what you think is appropriate with your son when it's your time.
Thank you, Your
And
Honor.
let's not be then saying, well, your daddy is murdering. No, come on now, let's work with me on this. We can't have that conversation, right? No. We cannot have that conversation with Eric. No, if his father decides to take him fishing, then it can't be you showing him videos of the fish's head being cut off. I mean, we're not doing that. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
We're very clear.
Very clear.
So I'm not awarding the $800, but I'm doing something that I think is far more valuable than the $800. You agree?
I agree.
Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, are we very clear?
Very.
All right, so I'm gonna deny the claim, but I think that this ruling is far more valuable than the $800, because you know who really benefits most from this?
Our son.
Eric.
Absolutely. Nothing further, we'll stand adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
Any final words?
He should not have lied, and it is what it is.
What can I say? I was married to a difficult woman, but at this point, money aside, not having to cater to her desires, I mean, it's priceless.
Coming up,
You were there, you were renting a car. What happened?
Well, Your Honor, he's leaving out a large part of the story.
And what is that?
The car nearly killed me.
you're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Matt Smith is suing Jason Batista in the amount of $2,500. Mr. Smith claims the defendant crashed an SUV that he rented from him and says Mr. Batista then blamed it on a vehicle malfunction and refused to pay for the damage.
You're suing for $2,500. Talk to me about the situation, please.
Mr. Batista had a reservation with us, and he wanted an intermediate-sized SUV. There was a lot of turmoil that day with air traffic delays. We had more reservations than we had returns. And also, Mr. Batista, his reservation was at 9, and he didn't get there till almost midnight. So what we were able to offer him was a compact SUV. We had two options at the time, a minivan and a EV.
Well, Your Honor, he's leaving out a large part of the story.
And what is that?
The car nearly killed me.
So let's back up. You had two options.
Yes, he sort of gave me two options, but he kind of gave me no options.
So tell me, what do you mean by that?
So I really needed a larger SUV because it meets the needs of my clients and coworkers. I need that space.
All right.
He kept pushing this car. He's like, oh, okay, like I know it's a little smaller, but it has this self-driving feature. It's really cool. It's like your own personal Uber.
Something happened with the EV, yes?
Yeah, something major happened to you.
Okay, so when I say EV, I mean electric vehicle, so everybody understands what we're talking about. All right.
Yeah, so that night was fine. I just drove to the hotel. I was tired. Everything was okay, but I didn't mess with this new system he was talking about that he was dangling in front of me. Try this new system.
When you say dangling a new system, we're talking about the autopilot?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So that everybody understands that there's a feature on this particular vehicle that you could set it so that it would drive itself.
It's just something that you push that aids you in cruise control and changing lanes.
So something happened.
Yes.
What
So
happened, and why is he suing you?
The next day, so he also he's leaving a little something out. So I think he knew he didn't provide good customer service because he told me, oh, I can come back the next day and get a car that's more similar to what I actually wanted in the first place. He said they might get them in. So I pull up the destination on the nav. I go into the UI of the car to tap it. As soon as I tap that button, bam, the wheel jerks like out of my hand, and before I can even react, I'm in the wall.
Coming up,
Baby, I'm on ice. I-64 west. I'm in a rental car. It's freaking out. It's bouncing off the guardrail. It won't stop. Stop. I love you.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Matt Smith, who is suing Jason Bautista for negligence.
All right, and so there's some audio that you have. Is
Yes.
that you
Yeah,
want to
correct.
share with the
Yes,
court?
please.
May I hear that, please?
Baby, I'm on I-64 west. I'm in a rental car. It's freaking out. It's bouncing off the guardrail. It won't stop. Stop. I love you. I don't make it tell Mikey Lowe I love them. Stop. I love you.
So are you telling me that in the middle of this crisis, while you're trying to stop the car, that you could call your wife?
I didn't dial her by hand, so that would be silly. But
Right, it would be.
Yeah, I had the phone at the ready because I already had the navigation up, and I have like a quick dial tap to call her. So, I mean, I'm in panic. I'm not necessarily acting rationally. At the same time, I'm trying to grab the wheel and do all this stuff, but I did tap the button to call her during.
So now, if the car is still moving and you're telling me that the brake didn't work,
It didn't seem to work.
that the emergency brake in the car,
I don't know where the emergency brake is in this thing. It's not like an old car. Like I'm not afraid of tech. I like computers and all that, but I have older cars at home because I have a son, I have a daughter, trying to save money for other goals. I don't have these like fancy
right,
systems.
and I don't either. But when the car did get back, was there a forensic examination of what happened with the systems? Did the systems or autopilot, whatever
Yeah.
it's called, did it fail?
It passed with flying colors.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
I am not persuaded that this was a mechanical error. $2,500 seems fairly modest when you see how extensive this damage was to this car that you're claiming. And so I understand, Jason, your frustration with this, but I am entering judgment in favor of the plaintiff for $2,500. You had options that night. I think maybe you were fooling around, maybe hit a wrong button, and it just went phooey here. I mean, it was just unfortunate. And I'm glad that you're standing in my courtroom and not severely damaged. For the reasons I've articulated, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We will stand adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $2,500.
Pretty much as I expected, I'm happy with the outcome.
Trust your hands, trust your feet. Don't trust driver out.
Gather your belongings. Exit to the rear of the court.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.